Ladies and gentlemen and in-betweeners, tonight we have an intimate evening with Grammy and Emmy Award nominee, comedian, activist, fashion designer, and fellow podcaster Margaret Cho is here with a surprise guest appearance by Lucia, the Wonder Dog, and me, your favorite host, with the deepest voice. So raise a glass and let the games begin.
And most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, coming at you live, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Lord help us, buttons and bows and pantyhose. This is On the Rocks, the place where we're too glam to give a damn. We are back from our summer vacation. I did miss getting my beach body ready. I had an accident on the way to the gym. Apparently, I crashed into the sofa. Womp womp. Thank you. I get my own womp womp hurt. Pumpkin spice lattes are back. White women and gay men are in a pumpkin frenzy. I'm just happy sweaters are coming back. Cover it up, girl. Thank you to our sober listeners for tuning in. We love you too. Thank you for holding our hair back and driving us home. But if you are drinking, the official vodka of On the Rocks is Equality Vodka. 20% of every bottle sold helps nonprofits to work to secure equality for everyone. Visit them at Equality Vodka on the web, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. This show is brought to you by Straw Hut Media and Here TV. Hello to our listeners around the nation on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Roku. I am excited to announce that we are now available on Pandora on their new podcast section. And of course, right now we are on Facebook Live on KLGBT.TV and Trendy Now in San Diego, True FM in Ohio, and on the West Coast on GED Magazine and nationally on I Love LGBT. Give them a like on their social medias, and thank you for watching us on their Facebook Live page. Big thank you. What have I been up to, you ask? To Vaikaya Cruises for including On the Rocks on its debut cruise, 7 days on the East Coast of Canada. I had the opportunity to drink and interview celebrities. Tony Award winner Kristen Chenoweth, American Idol's Catherine McPhee. David Foster showed up, by the way, to take some selfies. Glee's Alex Newell. Girl, she's a mess. Country music star Brandon Stanzel, who's going to be coming on the show. The cast of Golden Girls NYC, and many, many more. We got to film in the Martini Bar. I was the guest bartender until they fired me. I was in the main kitchen with the executive chef, Konstantinos. He made risotto. His muscles were hotter than his risotto. Get it? I'm sorry, Margaret. She's like, oh, Kurt! We even fed something to the laundry room, and it was a gay cruise, and I made a joke about dirty sheets, and then I put a load in the washer. Dirty sheets. Anyway, thank you for such a great time, Vaikaya. Hope they ask us back. Maybe not after they saw my bar tab, by the way. Hello to our engineer, Kurt. How have you been this summer?
It's been a while. I haven't seen you.
I know. It's literally
forever.
been over a month.
I know. I don't even know how to do on my Tuesday night.
You learned how to dress while I was gone, by the way.
Apparently.
Yeah, a button down. Ooh.
I know, right?
He's fancy. Mm-hmm. Do you have a pun for us?
I have. I saw this and I had to.
Okay, we have like a comedian queen here. I apologize in advance, Margaret. Go ahead, make it fast.
It's not my typical pun, but did you hear about the guy who put glitter on his testicles?
Oh my God, Kurt, we're trying to be fancy here. Glitter Bolly, what?
You know, it was pretty nuts.
No. Oh my God, Margaret is like, I cannot. Things we do for entertainment. I'm so sorry. Like us on Twitter and Instagram at On The Rocks On Air, Facebook On The Rocks Radio Show. Send me an email. Book me for a wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care. I will show up. Info at ontherocksradioshow.com. Need you to start clicking on subscribe on YouTube, your podcast player. Like and follow us to keep the show going for free. Everything is updated on our website. It looks gorgeous on therocksradioshow.com. Want to see me on the road? We will be at opening night for a new theater company in town. It's called P3 Theater Company with a residency at the Ernest Borgnine Theater in Long Beach. Their first production is Evita, by the way, which is my favorite musical of all time. I own the musical in 8 different languages, recording. Anytime, Margaret, since we're going to become best friends, when you invite me to your house and if there's a balcony, I will be singing Don't Cry For Me Argentina at some point that evening.
Okay.
Just so you know.
That's good.
Anyway, go to p3theater.biz for more information. The show runs September 13th to the 29th. Also, Pride season is ending, and I am your MC in Long Beach at Executive Suites nightclub for Overboard's LBC's Laundry Day, SoCal's final Pride hurrah. There's going to be celebrity guests, live performances, and me. Go to overboardlbc.com for more more information. Let me formally introduce our guest for today. We are getting right into it. We are getting into the nitty-gritty. And if you don't know her, you're probably Helen Keller or you're racist. Margaret Cho, an accomplished performer in all formats. She could be called the queen of all media, having conquered the worlds of film, television, books, music, and theater. 5 Grammy Award nominations, 2 for music albums, Cho Dependent and American Myth, and 1 Emmy nom for her groundbreaking work on 30 Rock. Never one to shy away from a difficult or taboo topic. Her socially aware brand of stand-up comedy has made her both a thought leader as well as a teacher to those with open minds and open hearts. In 2017, Rolling Stone magazine named her one of the 50 best stand-up comics, calling her the sort of funny, sex-positive feminist and LGBT activist younger comics continue to look up to. Equally as important as her creative side is the causes she is passionate about. She's widely recognized for her charitable work with gay rights and anti-bullying campaigns. She has been recognized by countless organizations for her efforts, including the ACLU, GLAAD, and the National Organization for Women. In every segment of her life, Margaret is honest, forthright, passionate, uproarious, and always entertaining. And she has a podcast, by the way. Every Tuesday, you're going to listen to her podcast, and then you could click on my podcast. And so we're going to talk about her podcast. We're going to talk about everything. Please welcome, I'm so excited, longtime fan, Miss Margaret Cho.
Oh, that's a nice run-up. A lot of things.
Girl, we have so much to talk about.
I know.
And I'm so excited to actually meet you.
Yeah.
You know, your fans feel like they know you because you're so open with every aspect of your life, from your stand-up to your protests that you appear at, to the podcast that you guest on. You literally have shared every page of your life with us. Do people just come up and feel like they're best friends, and you kind of have to be like, girl, calm down?
No, it's nice. I think it's really nice because it is kind of an extension of friendship. Like if you're out there and you're like talking about, comedy is really, I think it's more valuable if it's personal, and it's more, I think it's funnier if you've been through something. And so I think that's what it is. It's like, you're connecting on a level of trauma bonding. It's trauma bonding.
Well, I interviewed Leslie Jordan last month.
Oh, yeah.
And our talk about how he started comedy is almost like how you've talked about it. It kind of came from a place of being bullied and having to deal with some obstacles growing up.
Yeah.
And you turned to comedy very, very young, such as performing professionally at like 16 years old.
Yeah. I mean, I just knew that was what I wanted to do, but it was really seeing Joan Rivers very young. When I saw her, it was like, it looked like she had friends, and I wanted to have friends. Like the audience was her friends because they understood, like, oh, can we talk? That was such a iconic statement because it was like, let's just break down all the artifice here and let's just tell it like it is. And so I love that.
And you were very, very close to Joan Rivers. She was your comedy mother, so to speak. How did you guys meet? How did that relationship bond? Because I know you guys met, and then it wasn't like friendship at first meeting.
Well, we went in the 90s. We met at this award ceremony. She had actually come to my show. I was doing a show in kind of in the like downtown on the Lower West Side. It was kind of like this little theater, and she'd come and she really liked it. And then I got an award for the show, so she ended up presenting me the award. And we had dinner, and it was really fun. And then I just got along with her right away because I just idolized her. And she said that she wanted to give me her jewelry because she had just started her line on QVC.
QVC, she was big on QVC.
Very big. And I told her I didn't wear jewelry, and then she turned her back to me and didn't talk to me again for 2 years. But then she kind of like, accepted that I didn't wear jewelry, sort of accepted my style as it was very different from anything that she was used to. And so, every time I asked her to do anything, she would do it. Like if it was like a showbiz thing, she was just very, very up for anything. Really fun lady.
Well, she supported other women in the industry, and I come from the LGBT community where we all have a podcast, we all are emceeing something, and it's not so, we don't support each other as much as I would think that we should. But Joan Rivers really wanted to groom comedians that she found talented.
Yeah.
There wasn't like this sense of competition or, like somebody else taking over for the Supreme.
But she couldn't, there was nobody that could compete with her. She felt very safe in her kind of place. As she was just very much this accomplished woman who had done so much for women in comedy, and just so there was nothing for her to feel threatened about, I didn't think.
Now, do you think she would be able to do her comedy? She would be able to start who she was in this current PC climate?
Well, when she started, it wasn't just that of course it wasn't PC at all. When she started, like we couldn't even talk about pregnancy. You know, she was very pregnant with Melissa on television, and she couldn't refer to it. You know, she couldn't make jokes about it. So in a lot of ways, the world that she had started in was much more restrictive than the world now. Although the world now, it's different. I mean, I think it was like she always like was very unapologetic about everything. And so I think it would be different. Like, I don't know. Would she feel that same kind of like drive to just really court cancellation? Like, I think that's what she would be into, courting cancellation. She would want to like play with it and mess around with it.
Well, I have to say, I was able to see a few tapings of Fashion Police after she was gone, and you really carried on her spirit and some of her comments. You know, she didn't have to be everybody's friend. She didn't have to like everything that was put on the screen.
Yeah.
Thank God, and that's what I really missed from the red carpet. We have gotten so boring on the red carpet. I don't even watch it anymore.
No, she was really excited. The thing that excited her about was like the fashions and the fairy tale aspect of what Hollywood is, and when people get dressed out to go to these events, it's really like the closest thing to like, you know, a ball that we have, you know. And so she was really into that, and you know, and she had great things to say about everyone. So nowadays, I think it's that, you know, there's so much sensitivity around it, you know, and I think that she would really be a great asset to the red carpet today. It's not the same.
Well, I loved your comments in Fashion Police because you didn't hold back. I would love to see you doing red carpets.
I would love to.
I mean, because we need that spice back.
Yeah.
Especially Hollywood. It's like, you know, we need to calm down with everything. Like, let's just calm down and have a good time and appreciate each other. You kind of started from this whole family of revolt. I know, like revolution and kind of pushing the envelope has been part of who you are and your comedy. But your family kind of started it. Your mom kind of said no to a prearranged marriage.
Yes.
They owned a gay bookstore.
Yes.
You grew up in the 70s on Haight Street in San Francisco. Tattoo people, leather people. I mean, this is who you grew up around.
Yes. Yes.
What about that childhood formed you the most, do you think?
Well, I think that I think it made me very much like you can curate and structure your own life as you want it, and then it doesn't have to be like so much like anybody else's, or it doesn't have, you can kind of forge your own path. And you know, so the people that I was around, that I was growing up around, you know, that all worked for my father, were all very heavily tattooed. They were all getting full body suits from Ed Hardy, and they were riding motorcycles, and they were doing drag, and they were queer and political and following Harvey Milk. And so it was a very political time and a very energetic time. And so I'm grateful for my family for introducing me to that world. You wouldn't think that that would be a world that they would even know about, being very Christian and very Korean, but they loved it.
And you do talk a lot, not to bring it down, but I want to talk about your relationship with sex. You have such a refreshing relationship. When I watch your stand-up, I was raised in a very strict Catholic. I mean, we still don't even talk about sex, even after coming out. It's like, we still haven't even had the birds and bees straight-wise. Early sexual abuse for a continued number of years, but you've also been very open about your love of sex toys and your love of sex in particular. You even worked as a sex phone operator. You worked as a dominatrix. Like, sex has been a big part of your life.
Yes.
How did the early abuse not kind of shut that sense down of experiencing sex in a positive way?
Well, it was, again, like, forging your own path and then trying to find out how it makes sense for you. And then actually AIDS had a lot to do with it too, because if you're, coming of age and coming into sexuality in the 80s and 90s, there was a real strong sense of fear around sex. And so I think that people were looking to a way to be sexual without fluid bonding. So that's how BDSM became a very, very big part of San Francisco, and a very, very big part of the way that we were thinking, okay, if we can be sexual in this way, this is something that kind of satisfies a very urgent need that is it's actually safe, and it doesn't require necessarily fluid bonding with anyone, but it still feels dangerous and still feels like there's a part of us that is like really liberated from it. So I think it was the time of like looking into what other ways can we find our gayness and find our queerness and not necessarily compromise anything else. And so I love that.
You teach people about a lot of different things. You teach them how to be themselves. You teach them how to be open, how to be bisexual. The gays are like, bisexual, that's not a thing. And you're like, yeah, it is a thing. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like you've taught us, and you were kind of formed by your parents' strength, and your dad writes jokes, right? By the way. What do you think that they've learned from you from your years in the industry and all your time in industry being successful? What do you think you've taught them?
I think I've taught them like there's a lot of value in our truth and that there's so many ways that we can show our experience and celebrate our experience, And then, my families, they're still very, very confused about bisexuality. Like they understand gay very well, and they understand straight very well, but the duality is very hard for them to understand. They just really don't get that part.
That's the whole world.
Everybody is kind of like, and what does that even mean? I mean, it's like, how are people bisexual? And that's something that is like the big mystery that I think everybody's kind of trying to like figure out. But you're seeing more and more people kind of identifying as bisexual, like I guess like Cynthia Nixon or even Juliana Hough.
Yeah.
Which is such a great.
And her brother's like, what?
Great. I know. It's a great kind of thing of like, oh, okay, there's queerness even in these people who seem incredibly like straight-laced and very hetero, but it's something that you're seeing like different shades of. Even Miley Cyrus, somebody that is so like, kind of looked at as, to me, I still think of her as Hannah Montana, like it wasn't very long ago.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing that she's kind of out there, showing off this sort of queer side, this feminist side, and so I really appreciate a lot of like pop culture today really embraces that.
Well, and I love that the youth don't have to have a label anymore. They can experience and they can go through stages of what they identify as. I mean, certainly didn't have that when I was growing up.
No.
You hit the scene very early on. You won a contest which had you open for Jerry Seinfeld. You hit the college circuit. You played over 300 shows in 2 years, performed on the Arsenio Hall show many times, performed on Bob Hope's primetime special, by the way. What did this kind of early on constant success do to your psyche, being a young female comic hitting the scene?
It was really fulfilling. I mean, it was really an important thing. Like, I was very grateful to be able to do that. And and working for Bob Hope was really strange because he was so old and they would still like have him do comedy, but he couldn't remember like an entire monologue. So they would do bits and pieces and kind of put his monologue together in the editing process. And so, it was very strange. And then, I got to meet Phyllis Diller and they were all like they were all around here, like they were all hanging out in Toluca Lake and when you would go out to a comedy club at that time, you would see like Steve Allen and Jane Meadows. They would go out every night. I would see Steve Allen and Jane Meadows every night. But that kind of like old Hollywood was really up and running at that time, like around like early 90s, because I also did Star Search then. So
I forgot you did Star Search.
Yeah, very early on. So it was like that all that stuff was around and was just a weird world to be around. I love that.
Well, we love classic Hollywood on this show, and I've had the opportunity to interview a number of actors and actresses from that. And you got to spend a lot of time in the Friars Club in the 80s and 90s. Whole different generation. There was like the Milton Berle, this parking space.
Yeah, don't park in his parking space.
Right.
Don't. Just don't. And he was so like glamorous and fabulous and my favorite guy though around that era was John Schlesinger, who's the incredible director of Midnight Cowboy and Darling and all of these movies that I love, and I got to hang out with him and he was throwing a party in the afternoon, but we were so like he forgot and we were at the beach and then he's like, oh no, we have to go to we like get ready. And I was like, okay. So we like ran off the beach, we got in his Jeep and we ran to this bar and we're like running through this crowded bar and I'm like, what is this queen doing? Like he was like running, like freaking out, and then he gets to the bar and he taps this woman on the sitting on a bar stool, and like he taps her on the shoulder, and she turns around, and it's Lauren Bacall.
Oh my God!
And she goes, "You are late." And he had been throwing
Tuesday morning.
He was like throwing a party for her, and he forgot.
Oh my God!
And then we like rushed there, and he's like, and I was like, "Why are you freaking out?" And it was because it was Lauren Bacall. I mean, I would be freaking out too.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So that was a good one, but it was really, and she was very intimidating.
Like, yeah.
Very
Even her fancy
intimidating.
feast commercial, I'm like, I have to buy a cat, and it's gonna be a fancy cat, and it's gonna eat this fancy feast. I'm gonna shop at Tuesday morning, like it's Lauren Bacall.
Yeah, she's amazing, but she was like all of their like kind of they all worshipped her then.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. What aspect of comedy during those times from that previous generation do you think is lacking in current comedy?
I don't know. I mean, I think that there's so much of so much diversity in the way that current comedy is, because there's some people are like comedic actors and actresses. So I think that there was more of a diversity. What we don't have now are those people who kind of do everything, like a Debbie Reynolds, like they do all of the dancing and singing, and then have a Las Vegas review.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff. Like I love an old shiny floor variety show like Donnie and Marie or Sonny and Cher. I think that's what's really missing, is the glitzy kind of like variety show that they would have. I think like Goldie Hawn had one, and
Raquel Welch even had one. The Brady Bunch even had one.
Yeah, or the Star Wars had one.
Yeah,
they had a variety like a
Bruce
Christmas
Valanche
special.
wrote it. Of course, they were all high when they wrote it.
Yeah, but it's great. Like I think that that's what's really missing, is like something where you would see like Bob Mackie dresses and that kind of like a very, very so it's like those specials were always driven by the celebrities' friends. So you would have like who was hot now, but who was your friend now, like Glenn Campbell or somebody like from the country world or something, like there was all of this stuff, and like you would sing kind of even though you're not known as a singer. So there was a lot of stuff. I miss that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because now we have these overproduced specials, if we have them, with like, John Legend, which we love him, but it's like that grittiness of live performance. When Julie Andrews and Carol Burnett used to do their shows together.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
I
God,
love that.
so funny, because you'd see Julie Andrews in a whole different era. Margaret Cho, how far is too far in comedy?
I don't know. I mean, I think like I always admire people who do things that I don't necessarily agree with, but I'm like, okay, you do that, that's great. Like really making a stand on whatever it is. So I don't think there's a too far. There are consequences for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that, that makes me think of like a lot is like Kathy Griffin, who's a good friend of mine, and how much flack she took for the decapitated head photo. And that, that comedians shouldn't have to like go through all of that to, be able to tell a joke. And now it's like that culture of outrage, though, it's hard to even make a very strong statement. So I don't necessarily agree with everybody that does everything, but I do love when comedians really take that risk and try to like really like offend people, because I think that's the nature of comedy anyway.
But we're in such a culture that people are just waiting to be offended.
Yeah.
Like say the slightest thing, and then we're going to have this whole war about it. It's like, there's bigger things to worry about, whether,
But it goes away really fast. Like it
does.
flares up, and then it goes away, and then people forget, and then it's like this thing of like every day there's a new kind of outrage and a new boycott. I mean, it's rough. Like I think also it's been hard. Like gay summer's hard when you have like we can't go to Equinox and Soul Cycle.
I know. I took it really hard, Margaret Cho. I'm like, great. Now I don't have to go to the gym for real.
But it's weird, like how the gay body culture really like forces us into those positions. Like we have to like really, kind of take care of our bodies. That's like another like a weird unsaid rule about gayness, and then you take away the one thing that like we actually like do spend money on. I mean, it's shocking. I don't know. Like I feel very strange about the whole like thing of like I spent so much money on those places, and so are we responsible for everything bad? I don't know.
Well, it's funny because the Equinox in West Hollywood is very gay friendly. They're in the community. They've spent money supporting it.
Yeah.
At what point money is just it's such a weird power. Money is power, and it takes the place of our ideas, of who we support, and being a good person. It's awful.
Yeah, I'm like, who is in charge of what? We don't even know. Like, these like big companies that we don't even know own what. It's so weird. Like you think like oh, it's this and that. These brands are just like that. They're entities, but they're all owned by these giant conglomerates that we don't really know.
Well, and the media loves to have big headlines. So it's like Equinox gives to Trump when it could be like the board member gives personally, but it's still the company, so to speak, or it's certain initiatives that say, hey, smoking is bad, and then they give a little money towards. I mean, that's how they sneak it in.
Yeah, it's so hard. Like, it's like I feel like with Equinox, it's kind of like it sucks because there are good people that are in that organization. It's a great company that does feature and support a lot of LGBTQIA causes. You know, they had like you know, in the gyms they were having this like big feature of featuring people that were like, you know, doing voguing. Like that was so beautiful. Like on this sort of like all of these amazing dancers, and you know, people who were trans, people who were just different that you were getting to see, and they were, you know, really supporting. So it's like, now not being able to go because of Trump, it's so, he's really ruined a lot of things.
Oh God, he's ruined everything from fashion to tanning to weaves to mail order brides. Like
Everything.
he's really
I know,
soured
he really
everything.
Wrecked it. It really wrecked it for everyone.
Margaret Cho, when are you going to be on Pose? Like,
Oh, I know.
when are you just going to be on Pose?
I'm really good friends with Billy Porter, and I like been begging him because he's hilarious. He's actually in my movie that I made in 2003 called Bam Bam and Celeste. But he's such a great guy and such a great actor, and was so like legendary in Kinky Boots and so legendary in Pose. And so yes, I've been bothering him for a while.
I mean, we just need to make it happen.
I love it. I know.
I mean, everybody's waiting for you to be on
It's so
Pose.
good. It's so good.
And this is the next thing I want to talk to you about. Billy Porter was out and proud. He's been fighting for LGBT in entertainment way before it was cool.
Yeah.
You started talking about the Me Too movement before it was the Me Too movement. You've been talking about LGBT rights. You've been talking about racial equality, body positivity before these were hot buttons in Hollywood. Did your manager or agent ever say, hey, you know what, it's kind of a risk, or audiences don't want to hear this, or...
I don't know. I think it's like, not now. I mean, you know, back in like the late 80s, early 90s, like my manager at the time was very nervous about my like kind of even coming out or even talking about queerness at all, you know, because at that time you couldn't be out.
Right.
But there was no way to do it. But, you know, now I work with people that are very much, we're all queer, we're all like family, so it's not the same. And they really trust me, you know, because it's like I'm not kind of doing it just for shock value or doing, you know, all of these things have a lot of meaning for me. And finding a way to talk about it in comedy that is truthful and funny is really important.
Now, do you think body positivity, racial equality, we know they're hot buttons right now, do you think
a real sense of it because we have social media to fall back on to create like that sort of dissent. If there is a problem or something that is happening that we don't want to happen or we don't agree with, we can actually look to social media to amplify our point of view, and that's really great. So I do think that people are definitely maybe now more willing than ever to change their minds about things, change their minds about race, change their minds about the body and what the body should be. And so that's real progress, I think.
Well, and body, your whole being open about your eating disorder, it all came from All American Girl, which I cannot believe is 25 years ago.
I know, so long ago now.
When I saw that headline, it's like 25 years. You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And you guys had a panel together, and so I rewatched some of the episodes. And you guys, a lot of the episodes are available on YouTube. I rewatched the very odd one with Quentin Tarantino.
Oh yeah, that's a fun one.
It's so fun, but it's somebody to see Quentin, like, you know, he was dancing on stage, and you guys actually dated, right?
Yeah, he's great. Like he loves like sitcom stuff. I remember when we would like watch Family Ties. He had the biggest TV that had like letterboxed, so we'd watch like Family Ties on the letterbox. It was so forward thinking. But he's he loves like a good sitcom moment.
We had so much fun on the show. You could just tell. It was just
we had
fun.
a good time.
Do you think if the show premiered now, it would have lasted past one season?
I hope so. I mean, I would think that, you know, that would have been great. You know, I think it's definitely something that, you know, it would be great to revisit. You know, it would be great to go back and do another. But yeah, I think so. I think we were just really ahead of our time.
What would you have done differently with that show? Now looking back at it.
Well, I think that I would have gone and I would have maintained a kind of a closeness with my own stand-up comedy, because the show was such a departure from what I did as comedy on, cable. Like, it was on HBO and I could say anything.
Right.
And at that time, the show was like in the 8 o'clock hour. It was a Disney show, actually. And it was in, kind of in everybody's homes very early on. And in the time of television, when they only had like 3 channels. And Fox was like not even there all the time.
Yeah.
So it was like, we were under such like intense like scrutiny and standards and practices, and we can barely say anything. So I would have taken the show to HBO or Showtime. At the time, pay cable was like you could say whatever.
Right.
And I think then we would have had a better time of it.
Like the Tracy Ullman show almost
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah, for sure.
How was B.D. Wong, like off the record, how was B.D. Wong
BD's a good friend of mine.
to work with?
He is a really amazing actor, and we have played siblings, we've played lovers, we've played married couples, we've played just friends, like in so many different things. Like, I've done so many different things with him as an actor. He's actually playing Awkwafina's father right now in her show at Comedy Central. So it's great.
I
He's
love
amazing.
that. And to see both of your arcs for career is so exciting to see.
Yeah.
It really, really is. Do you rewatch the show from time to time?
Well, we watched it actually with an audience, and with Clyde Kosatsu, who plays the dad,
Yeah.
and Amy Hill, who plays the grandma.
Yeah.
And so and JB Kwan, who plays my little brother on the show. And so we watched it for the big reunion.
The panel, yeah.
Yeah, and that was really special to see. And a bunch of the actors in the show came to see it too. And so that was really special.
I love that. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more Margaret Cho. Copy that timestamp. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here we go. For those of you watching live on Facebook, you don't have to listen through the commercial. Kurt, copy that timestamp. Okay. But from All-American Girl, you developed an eating disorder because it was like you said, people were scrutinizing every single inch of your body, which you talked about during one of your stand-ups. What is your relationship with the whole idea of body positivity now?
Well, you get to a point in your life where you're like, I really don't care. Like, it's like, it becomes so unimportant. But then also, like, for me, at this time, it's like really like bone density. Like, I'm like, I don't want to get osteoporosis. So I need to have like weight bearing exercise, as opposed to like this constant, like kind of looking at yourself. But then, being gay, it is a different thing too, because gayness, it inspires a kind of narcissism that is not just about you, but it's about like the female form in general. So
Yeah.
that, it's like, if you are a woman and you're with women exclusively, then you're just like, you're in competition to be like the best woman body ever. Oh, that's the same thing with men. Men are constantly like hyper aware of their own image and in comparison to everybody else. And so I think that if you're gay, there's a higher standard of being that is kind of, then they use it against us, like in so many ways, but it's hard.
It is very hard. I've come to certain terms. I'm a curvy girl, and I love being a curvy girl. I'm never going to be, a skinny mini. I'm never going to be a gym bunny. That's just not who I am. And you come to a certain point where you're confident in that, but then you go through, like the summer, we had Pride season, and I was emceeing Pride after Pride after Pride, did the gay cruise, and I'm like, well, maybe I should go to the gym more, It's a constant thing on your mind.
Yeah, and it's almost like this oppression that we put on ourselves.
Yeah,
it's
it is.
Eternalized and internalized. And it's something that, you realize like, God, I don't want to buy into this, but you just automatically do for some reason. Just it's so important, because we were all looking up to Kate Moss, and we all wanted to have that heroin chic and everything. And
the boys were looking up to Luke Perry. I remember the article in People magazine was Luke Perry is a 28-inch waist. That was the headline. It affected me so much. I can still see that headline in my mind. How many years after that?
So then, it's something that like we're all dealing with, but it feels like a personal struggle. Like, it's something that it really affects everyone. Yet for some reason, it's because it's like, it's just something that we're looking at and think we're the only ones looking at it. It's crazy.
And once you come out as being body positive or coming out with an eating disorder, every time you're in front of the eye, somebody's like, okay, let's see where that. Like Melissa McCarthy was like, I'm very body positive. Then she loses weight, and we're looking, and then we're losing Jonah Hill. We're noticing when he gains weight again. It's like that's what we're paying attention to, which is so ridiculous.
Well, and it's hard to kind of think like, okay, well, this is something that they're going through in a separate kind of a context. You know, I think that they're just looking at it as this thing of like, well, maybe I can do more with my acting career because if I change my physicality that I could, you know, do this. But we don't put the same kind of scrutiny on somebody like Christian Bale, who gets very different every time we see him. And, you know, and it's almost like it's this great thing, like Robert De Niro, who becomes very, very changed with roles that he takes on. And yet somebody like Jonah Hill, it's like, it's almost as if we don't count him, and it's like, oh, well, he's failing somehow because he's returning
like
to
when
this.
Russell Crowe gained some pounds, we're like, oh, it's Russell Crowe being Russell Crowe. That's interesting.
It's something to do with like, oh, we're not looking at that kind of like a dynamic personality who cares so much about acting that they're going to like really change themselves. So it's a weird sort of double standard that we put on it's not just gender, but it's definitely like weight. It's such a weird thing.
You have achieved this certain amount of fame. Like I said, just being able to sit and chat with you is amazing. New tour, specials on TV. People just assume like you're in this bubble of great comedy. But are there still nights that you're traveling that you just have a terrible audience, or you kind of just don't, or like you bomb?
Totally. Yeah, everybody does. But I think it happens more moment to moment, like much more like I have the experience where a whole night can be rescued with something, but like, you know, sometimes like it won't go as well as you planned. Like even within a show, there can be low points because you're trying something out. But, you know, you have the experience, you know, like, well, I can bring this back and to make this a successful evening. So it's very rare that a whole show is like a disaster, but like, you know, moments within it can be like a disappointment for you. Like, oh, I don't think I should do that. Like, I'm not going to do that again, or I did this wrong and I'm going to go back and try. So, yeah, it can be challenging, especially if you are invested in trying new things, which I always am. So it's something that, you know, you learn how to like cope with it. But yeah, it's good.
And I think some of the toughest audiences are when you're there for like a benefit performance or a political, because people are just not in that mindset to laugh and whatever. Sometimes I've seen amazing people, even singers, just like bomb. And it's like, I want to like to the audience like, hey, they're amazing. You're being an asshole.
But they're just like, I think you do get a kind of like benefit fatigue. You know, like during like these kinds of like award season, then you're just like, I can't even do that. Like you're like you're at this thing, some function, and it's like thousands of dollars a plate, and then you're kind of like, oh, I get, you know, this is the 10th one you've been to this season.
And you've smiled so much. You're shaking so many hands.
You're just like, you start screaming at the silent auction, like, I don't want to. So people do get a kind of charity fatigue. Like, you know, you don't appreciate it as much as opposed to like, you know, real fans who are going to see the concert. Who are like so excited, and it's their highlight of their year. You know, so it's different. You get jaded if you actually like attend a lot of those events, you know, for a good cause. And then, so, you know, it's like, you got to appreciate it because, you know, it's the same star, you know. It's I still get very excited when I see people. I don't care where it is. I get really excited.
One of the questions I got actually was, you have literally rubbed elbows with A-list to Z-list. Like, you have really been in the celebrity pool. Of course, taking a selfie with Meryl Streep, Cumberbatch, like, whispering in your ear. Do you still get starstruck at all? You've met pretty much everybody.
Oh, yeah. I love it. Like, I used to go to the Beverly Garland Hotel with, like, you know, you go with all this money, and then you get autographs from people. So I have Norman Fell's autograph from... from Three's Company, you know, the Ropers. I have the rope, like it's Norman Fell's autograph, but it's the photo of the Ropers together. And then I have a bunch of like David Carradine like autographs. Like I have all of these like weird like the creature from the Black Lagoon like autographed all of my pictures. Like, I loved going to, like, those things. That was when all of the Munchkins were alive. And so you could get, like, a whole set of all of the Munchkins signing your pictures. So
That
you know.
last Munchkin, by the way, he made bank. He was like,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom. I'm the last one.
I love it.
Yeah.
And so I would go and I think I got a Lynn Holly Johnson. She was the skater in Ice Castles. And
Remember when Lifetime rebooted Ice Castles?
I didn't know. That's a great movie with the Melissa Manchester soundtrack
Yes.
song. The amazing.
Why isn't that I feel like that should be playing in every gay bar.
Oh, I know. Eyes of Love.
Through the eyes of
Because
love.
in Ice Castle, she's blinded. It's similar to Dancer in the Dark, which is
Let's talk
Very
about
good.
Dancer in the Dark.
Yes.
If you have not seen Dancer in the Dark, you have to go rent it, see it, download it, whatever.
it's so good.
It's in my top five movies.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It blows my mind.
Well, I just love Bjork in the movies. I think she's a great actress.
You know, she won't ever act again. Like
I know, it's
she's done with
sad.
it. She was like, that was too much. So let's talk about this because you kind of your second Grammy nomination
Mm-hmm.
was actually for a music album. You came out singing, and everybody was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Playing the guitar, playing the banjo, playing the dulcimer, by the way. You literally filled this album with these amazing songs with a great cast of guests. Was that weird for you to say, okay, I'm going to sing now?
Well, I really love it. That's what I love those celebrities who kind of it's very old school to go and do an album of standards, or to have it's Debbie
Even
Reynolds.
William Shatner had an album, by the way.
Actually, a very good album, which he did
Yes.
very space involved kind of songs like Rocket Man
Yes.
and Major Tom. It's a really it's definitely an old school show business thing to do. So I love that, and I love playing music. It's so fun. And but Bjork is an interesting one because her music is it's like another planet.
It is.
Her the way that she listens to notes and the way that she kind of formulates things, she's just very genius in how she perceives sound.
She's like an interpreter, what I feel like. She's interpreting sound waves the way that she sees it. When we're very used to chorus, verse, chorus, she's like,
bridge.
F that.
She's all
yeah.
bridge. It's all very internal, and the rhythms and all of the things she sings about it. And, she just brings new, breathes life into electronic music, which to me sometimes can be very distant and robotic.
Yeah.
She really makes it human.
You have to watch her performance in Dancer in the Dark. It was so visceral,
really good.
so naked. I just watch it, just astounded.
It's a great
that she
movie.
wasn't this big actress, and that she won't continue with that. We talked a little bit about being exhausted from these events. When you hit the road, you hit the road. You hit every city. You go international. And you have been an advocate for so many different causes, from homeless, racial equality, LGBT, women's rights. Do you ever just want to can I just be funny? Can I just be Margaret Cho?
Yeah.
Because now people are like, what are you going to say? You're the oracle for so many people. Does that come with a pressure and a certain exhaustion?
No, because then you can just be real stupid and people accept it. It's you have to just be real dumb. Sometimes my favorite kinds of comedy is just clowning. What I love a really a mean drag queen, clowning.
Yeah.
I love just rotten attitudes, just crass comedy, and to me that's really it's really life affirming because it's just so fun to be stupid. So I like it.
All right, Margaret Cho, love and dating in your industry, who you are, what's going on? Is it easy to date? And
I don't know. I'm actually single, so I'm kind of I don't even know. What is it even like? I have to get on the apps, which I haven't done yet.
Are you really? What apps
Yeah.
are you on?
I haven't.
I'm just going to download it right now.
I haven't done it. I think that I don't know. People are saying Hinge is one.
What's Hinge?
Hinge is an app that people are on that I know. Oriya is the one where there's other celebrities on.
Yeah, I heard that. It's and you're not supposed to say the name, by the way. It's like the Illuminati. You're not supposed to
you're
say.
not supposed to say, right?
But it's for celebrities. It's their Tinder, but you have to have certain credits. You have to have certain. I wonder who's going to hit you up.
I don't know. It's always a surprise. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I kind of think. there's a lot of people that I would be curious about. Because, like when you get into your 50s, it's a good time. So I just turned 50, so it's the time where everybody
believe
gets.
it, by the way.
It's good.
Yeah.
But everybody gets divorced. So then you're like, you get your second chance. So it's kind of like high school, where everybody's like newly like out on the market or whatever. So it's, you get a second chance at the guy that you missed up, the girl that you missed out on when they were married. So. Like all their kids go away, and then you're like kind of, the empty nesters.
So, but do you think it's weird for people to sit and date Margaret Cho because there's this idea of who you are, there's this energy that people perceive for you?
I don't know.
I would think it would be intimidating.
I don't know. I think that also, but it's also like you want to, everybody. You don't want to necessarily. I don't think I want to be in a relationship. I just think I want to just have sex. Like that's enough.
That's what more people need to just realize that's what they need. You don't need to be in a relationship all the time. Enjoy being single.
Yeah, which I think is really fun. And so I haven't been single for such a long time that it's really kind of exciting to be single now. Like, what is the world offering you? Like, I don't even know. Like, and there's so many different ways to meet people and kind of do it. It's so new. Like, I'm like, oh, this is different. So I've never done an app before, so that's all new to me too.
It's just so weird because then when you meet people in real life, people don't know how to talk to each other anymore. It's so weird.
Yeah?
I used to love to go to like a dive bar on like a Thursday night, and then that's how you meet like people and see who they really are. But now you're on an app, you're like, it's kind of clinical.
I know. Like, I like a bar. Like, do you remember the Spotlight that was on?
Oh my God! Shut up!
The Spotlight is a good bar.
So my ex in the morning.
Yeah.
And it was a gay bar, and it was the seediest. They had this woman with her hair, and they would watch Price is Right. They'd watch Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
I used to go there all the time.
Yeah, I love that bar. I mean, I don't drink alcohol, but I think it's like, for me, when I did drink, it was a great thing to go to like a bar like that. And we don't have those anymore. We don't have like... We did the Palm was a good one. That was a lesbian bar.
Yes,
that was
I used to go there
on
Wednesday
Santa Monica.
nights because the alcohol. When I first moved to LA, it was like because everything was like $1 million to have a drink. Wednesday nights at the Palm, it was like $4 a drink.
Yeah,
and all the lesbians came out, and it was a great time.
It was really great. So yeah, we don't have that kind of like divey gay bar anymore.
Everything's like at the Abbey or Pump, which is fine,
Which
but
is
it's
nice.
not like you don't meet real people there.
But it's like another thing. Like it is very nice, but it's definitely a different quality of like people that you're meeting and different. Like I love like a divey.
Because you have real conversations.
Yeah.
You would talk to somebody that you would never talk to in your whole entire life. Even, that's what I love about still going to San Francisco. You go to Castro, you can go to any one of their bars, 4 PM, you'll have a conversation with an 82-year-old man that you never would have had that conversation in your life.
At Twin Peaks,
Yeah,
that one.
that's exactly what I was thinking about.
They used to call it Jurassic Park because that's all old dinosaurs in there. Or God's Waiting Room. That's another one. I love that bar.
But I met the makeup artist for Elizabeth Montgomery, and we talked for 2 hours. I also met somebody else that used to be a journalist at CBS when Judy Garland was having her show. And these stories that you just don't hear anymore.
It's incredible.
And this is what I hate about like us not having a Blockbuster or video stores is you used to go want a movie, they didn't have it, so you'd have to pick something that you didn't really know, but the cover looked good.
Yeah.
That's how I got to know Ab Fab, Betty Davis movies.
Oh, yeah.
But now it's like you have to literally download exactly what you want, and the next suggestions are like every other Blockbuster currently.
It's hard to find. I mean, yeah, definitely. Like I used to love like Rocket Video, and then there was one in on Lancashire called Eddie Brandt's Saturday Night Rewind, and it was very like it was like old 50s TV shows, like weird, like Jack Parr and like stuff like that. Like, if you like that kind of thing, or like Ernie Kovacs or something. But yeah, like the weird movies are, but they're all kind of on Amazon Prime.
But
like
you have to go
really
searching for them.
Yeah.
The younger generation, they just want to click on and click off. They're not exploring the way that they should.
Yeah.
I went on a date. I went on a few dates. One didn't know who Judy Garland was.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
It was someone saying to me, I was like, what?
How?
And I almost didn't know how to like...
Again, what do you...
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
And then somebody had not seen Golden Girls ever in their life. Oh, we have to... I got this question. Golden Palace. I didn't know you did Golden Palace.
Yes, and it was such a great experience. And it was... it was sad not to meet B. Arthur. I did meet B. Arthur later, much later. But it was really incredible to be there, and they were so young and vital then.
Yeah.
You know, like Betty White, like she looked like Madonna. Like she was young. Like it was. I mean, and Golden Girls they also like portrayed much older than they actually were.
Right.
So they played older. So it was a surprise to see them. You know, they all had like big bottles of water. Like it was a contest to who could have the most lemon in their water. So, you know, they all carried these like big bottles in like a net bag that was kind of like wrapped over your shoulder, and like Betty White had the most slim flare pants. Like she really literally looked like Madonna with like Madonna's like muscly like Pilates body. She's so fabulous.
Well, and we love Betty White, of course. I came into contact with her in a whole different situation, and talk about royalty, TV royalty, from classic to the whole game show era, which I miss. I know they're trying to bring it back. It's not as successful.
It's still, you know, it's really, I think it's about finding the right people, like, because I love like a game show kind of like a game show celebrity like Charles Nelson Riley.
Right.
Or, you know, Paul Lynde was the ultimate.
Yeah.
You know, they had such a hold on it. Or even like Fannie Flagg or JP Morgan, like on Gong Show.
Because you see celebrities in a whole different light.
Yeah.
It's not manufactured. You have to see them like in real life.
But they were like their own, that they also like kind of created their own kind of celebrity. And it was all Burbank.
Yeah.
It was all
Yeah.
like this area
Yeah.
too. They were all just like going from game show to game show.
And you did Hollywood Game Night.
Yeah, I love that.
That must have been so fun. I think Mina Suvari was on your team.
Yeah, she's very good. And Jane Lynch is a great host for that kind of stuff.
She has such a great energy because she kind of plays that classic sense of
She
Hollywood,
has-
but then she knows
she has
what
that.
kids are talking about. She knows.
She has that quality.
She's amazing. Your own podcast. Each week, Margaret Cho interviews people you know and people she thinks that you should know if you don't already. Presented by the new female-led podcast, Equinox, in partnership with podcast company Acast. 36-episode first season features guests such as Jonathan Van Ness, Kat Von D, Michael Yo, many more. Each episode drops every Tuesday. The show premiered in July, so if you haven't watched it, catch up. So, you know, podcasting is not just talking into the mic. There's a lot of work to it. What have you learned most about starting your own podcast?
Well, I think like I was doing it in the dawn of podcasting, which is like 2012.
Yeah.
And so I just really love returning to it. I love having these great conversations with amazing people. And it's a nice thing of like catching up socially, because it's like all my friends and you never get to see them because you were all working.
And your fans in general.
I think people just are excited about it. You know, they like the intimacy of it. They like the connection that we have, like to all of the different people. And so I think it's more like kind of just getting to be this fly on the wall and getting to experience that, you know, that quiet, like kind of nice talk, which I think is really revelatory. You really understand a lot more about an artist, and I love that.
Well, I know from being a fan, having to wait, you know, a couple of years between your specials and your shows, it's like we need more and more, and now we get you on a weekly basis.
I love it.
Which
so
is
good.
amazing.
It's so good.
How would you say comedy has changed the most since you've hit the industry?
I think it's changed in that we all have more of a frame of reference to work from, because everybody's on the same page about everything every day. So all of the news that we hear, everybody hears.
Yeah.
Everybody knows exactly what's going on. And so we've never had as much of a chance to address things in a very general way ever. So I think that's really important. So I love that about comedy.
All right, now we have an idea of who Margaret Cho is because, like I said, you've shared so much with us. But how are you the most different as the everyday person in relation to Margaret Cho, the persona?
I think, I don't know. I guess it's just that I think I'm a lot more shy than people would imagine, because I do get like I'm kind of a shy person, and then I'm not very demonstrative in crowds, and so I really sort of get all of that out as a comedian. So I'm kind of like a wallflower. I think that's what it
Really?
is. Yeah.
That's so funny because, you know, your personality is bigger than life.
Yeah.
And, you know, comedians get this assumption that comedians lead this dark, tumultuous, depressive life. And I know Robin Williams was your comedy father. And in a way, and you carried on his legacy, raising funds for the homeless. Is that true that there's this darker side? There's this underbelly to being a comic on the road, doing network shows?
I think that there can be. I think that there can be kind of a sense of, like you're crying on the inside. Like that's like the Pagliacci myth, that like there's like people who are very funny are often really troubled because comedy, or like the impulse to be humorous, is born out of suffering and a need to rise above it. So I think that it's valid. I do think that there's kind of like, there's pitfalls too in the lifestyle of comedians, because it's like nightclubs, it's alcohol, it's drugs, it's like all of that can be very difficult and destructive, especially if you have some kind of personality quirks that may somehow be like, more apt to be destructive. And so that's a hard thing. But I think like if you come through it, it's really beautiful. I'm really grateful to be where I am and stuff. But I know a lot of comedians who didn't make it, and that's hard. It's sad.
What was your breaking point on your journey on sobriety?
Well, I just, I think it's really about, it wasn't my choice to be sober. I didn't want to.
You had an intervention, right?
I had an intervention. So it was not.
God, I wish I could have been at that intervention.
It was horrible, and I was so mad. But I mean, it's fine. Now I'm glad. But, it's more that, like, it was just something that I didn't really necessarily look to think like, oh, I'm not having a problem.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Everything's fine. And, but it wasn't. But it was like, it wasn't my choice. But then I kind of like realized, oh, maybe I should take care of this. And it's good that I did, and it brought me into relationship with a lot of people that I miss now. It's like when you go to like rehab, it's kind of like the last stop before death. So there's a lot of people that died from the place that I went, and I'm like, oh my God, I miss them a lot. And it's so weird. Like, it's so weird that you would think that would be like the last time you saw them, but it's a deadly disease.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing your journey, because I know a lot of your fans, especially in the LGBT community, lead sober lives because it came out of need. But Intervention is literally one of my favorite shows on TV.
It's a great show.
It's so amazing.
It's a really amazing show.
When I get to that point, I already know who I want to be there. Patti LuPone needs to sing a song. I would love for you to be there as well. But that's a huge step in your career, because I do know that, like the nightclubs and all that, it's very intoxicating. That's part of the sexiness.
It's the sexiness of it. But it's like, I love Intervention though, because they will point you to addictions that you can't even believe. Like that one girl who was like breathing the like compressed air.
She's one of my favorites, because she would go to like Costco and she would buy all of them.
Yeah.
And then one of her eyes was going off, and she was not addicted to it. It's like, girl.
I know, but the compressed air, and it was like, I didn't even know. I thought it was just air.
Well, and the one that I loved was the one that would mix water with a hand sanitizer, because it was cheaper.
Oh,
and then, because it's when I kind of first moved to LA, and I was like, God, everything's so expensive. I was like, is it cheaper? Maybe it's like
that's a crazy one when people drink hand sanitizer or like any kind of thing that is like not alcohol, like, but there's like alcohol in it, like mouthwash or.
That's so odd to me.
So odd to me, but it's really intense. People get really crazy on it. So I like that show because it does show these things that are like, I can't even believe like that people do that. But that's really interesting.
Well, and I do have friends that are sober, and there also is, we were talking about body positivity, there's also this addiction to going to the gym. And I don't care if you say it's not an addiction, it is. When that's all you do 2-3 times a day, and you can't stop posting shirtless selfies, like that's an addiction.
Yeah.
Of course, it looks better than my addiction.
But it's a weird one, because you can really hurt yourself too doing that. I mean, and that's just kind of like an eating disorder too. It's just another way to be anorexic. It's hard.
Well, I'm so excited about your podcast and us being able, like I said, to experience you on a weekly basis with some great guests in a totally different way. I mean, it's just chatting.
Yeah.
It's not like showbiz. It's like, let's just have a
nice.
conversation.
Yeah, I love it.
And I have loved talking to you so much.
Yeah.
I literally have, you can see all like pages and pages
So many notes.
of questions. Because, you get to meet Margaret Cho.
I love
it's
it.
like, you have done so much in so many different ways, from pushing the envelope with your comedy to making us laugh, to having a show on a network, to fighting and I'm really excited that you're sitting here.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna play a little rapid fire.
Ooh.
Okay, just bum. You could go back in time and star in any sitcom as a male or female lead. Which sitcom and role would it be?
Ooh, I think I would like to just be in Dynasty. I mean, it would be like not a sitcom, but that would be a great thing. I mean, you know, I love like the hour-longs or like Love Boat or Fantasy Island.
Love, yeah, Fantasy Island. Well, and you guys did that kind of parody in that Quentin Tarantino episode.
Yeah, so that would be a great, but that was sort of like 80s Aaron Spelling would be a great thing to just sort of like, you know, whether it's any of those shows, but I would love that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Your strangest habit.
Oh. I used to cut off my planter's wart on the bottom of my foot with a razor blade.
Oh my God.
And so there would be like these like razor blades like all over my house and all this like white stuff that people thought was cocaine, but it was just dead skin. So it was like,
put that on your app.
It was like all of these like white, but it was like white powder, but it was just really dead skin.
My God.
But I don't do that. I don't do that anymore. I had surgery on my feet.
Okay.
So I don't do that anymore.
That's pretty strange.
That was pretty strange. So.
Most embarrassing TV show that you binge watch. You're like, oh my God, if they knew this, I'd be so embarrassed.
I don't know. I think, I like Murder on the Internet, which is a show that
I've never heard of that.
It's a good one. I think it's on Amazon Prime. It's not trashy. I like anything like crime.
Okay.
I love it.
Crime is so popular.
It's so popular. I just binged last night Mindhunter season 2. It's very good. The Jonathan Groff, he's so cute.
Oh, he is very cute. Oh God, he's so cute.
It's such a good show.
Oh, so cute. I would love to see you on SVU, by the way.
Oh, I love that. I worked with Mariska before she was on anything like that. So she was before her like crime thing.
Yeah.
You know, because she's, you know, obviously Jane Mansfield and, you know, Mickey Hargitay's daughter. So she's already royalty as she is. So she was on an episode of All American Girl. One of the...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, one of the later ones. I think it was like, maybe it was one that didn't make... We have one that didn't make the air. That was a pilot that we'd made for something else, but it had the same cast members, but she was part of it. She was a guest star, but she's cool.
Oh, she's fabulous, and she's done a lot for women's rights and abuse rights, which she learned these stories from doing SVU, and she started the Joyful Heart Foundation. Yeah.
She's awesome.
I could see you guys totally hanging out.
Yeah, she's really cool. I really admire her, and of course all that she's done. But yeah, because she's like, Jane Mansfield's daughter.
And they look more like the older that she gets.
They really do. And you can see like, oh, this is what Jane Mansfield would have looked if she, you know, was like
that's
gotten
exactly
older,
right.
you know, because she's stuck at like how you know, in her early 30s. It's forever.
And you know, her brother owns that plant on place that they rent to all the Hollywood studios on Santa Monica Boulevard. Okay, your after show personal ritual. Like you're done performing and you're at home. What is it that you're doing?
A neck mask.
Really?
I'm not doing the face mask, the sheet mask. I'm doing the sheet neck mask.
Sheet neck mask.
You know, it's like a face mask but without holes. So it's a sheet mask that you just put on your neck.
I'm gonna have to look. I've never heard of that.
I love a neck mask.
I'm gonna have to look at that.
Neck mask.
I'd have to buy 2 though. Whoop, whoop.
I need 3, but I love it.
Most overrated comedian from the past, so you don't get in trouble. But when you're just like, I just didn't get it.
Oh, God, you know, I couldn't say. I don't know. I think everybody, I mean, well, Bill Cosby.
I know people that still watch his comedy specials. He did one on Parenthood and all that. I'm like, what are you doing?
I don't know. I don't think so. It's just awful.
I mean, I was even able to give up Puddin' Pops because
I mean...
which was a big thing, by the way.
I did like a Puddin' Pop. I like Jell-O pudding anyway. I do. I like a Jell-O
I like the pudding. Just don't give me the actual Jell-O. Weight Watcher says it's like 0 points. Don't give it to me.
The Jell-O?
Yeah.
Well, it is if it's like the sugar-free Jell-O. But they only have like one flavor.
But it's not even good. But the pudding is good.
Yeah, I like a Jell-O, like one that's like the gay pride Jell-O when it's all the different colors. When you make like you let it harden separately.
Yeah.
I like that.
Margaret Cho, where can our viewers and listeners find you?
They can find me everywhere. I'm on Twitter at Margaret Cho, and Facebook at Margaret Cho, and also on Instagram, Margaret_Cho.
Underscore. Don't forget that underscore.
Yes.
And your website is amazing, by the way, because it has links to everything. And then, of course, Apple Podcasts, Earios for your
podcast. It's out every Tuesday. It's called The Margaret Cho.
And it is The Margaret Cho with some fabulous people that you know or you need to know.
That's right.
I'm so excited, and I'm so glad you're in the podcasting world.
I'm so glad.
Adam Carolla's like, wait, what? Who's in the world? Yes, girl. You better watch out, Adam Carolla. Coming up on The Rocks, we have Tony Award winner Francis Ruffelle from Les Miserables, Big Brother's Corey Brooks, Scream Queen Dee Wallace from Cujo, E.T. and the Frighteners, and we have Star Trek's Rod Roddenberry, the son of Gene Roddenberry, keeper of the Star Trek legacy, and many, many more. On The Rocks is the place to be every week. We are back from summer vacation. Oh, we also have 8-time Academy Award nominee V. Neil, who did makeup for Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, Hunger Games, Pirates of the Caribbean, so much more. I'm very excited we're back. Kurt, thank you so much. Thank you to our sponsors, Equality Vodka. Thank you to our viewers. Remember, like, click, click, click. Margaret Cho, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell us?
Lucia says thank you too. Lucia is very good.
She's so good, by the way.
She's really good. She's a very, very good dog.
She's the most well-behaved bitch we've ever had.
I know. She's such a good bitch.
All right, we'll see you next Tuesday.
This has been On the Rocks with Alexander, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on Universal Broadcasting Network. Find me on Facebook on the Rocks Radio Show. Tweet me or Instagram me at On the Rocks On Air. See you next Tuesday!